The Christian God is by all accounts a deeply reprehensible creature. A supposedly omnipotent and omniscient force that happily sits back and does nothing as people are butchered and brutalized. Countless genocides, century after century of slavery, endless cases of torture, rape, and murder. Every one of them tolerated and permitted by a God who supposedly possesses the power to easily prevent them. If a person knew about an immorality and could have easily prevented it, we would call them a monster. When the omniscient, omnipotent God does the exact same thing, we worship him. The theists defend this apathetic indifference, this amoral inaction, by claiming that their precious Lord gave us free will. If he was omniscient, he knew what we were going to do with that free will. Was giving us free will really worth it? Was all the slavery and genocide, cruelty and brutality, depravity and inhumanity, really worth it just so we could have free will? What kind of a sick game is this? He creates some creatures and gives them free will, knowing that they will use it to brutalize and butcher one another. He then sits back and enjoys the show, not so much as raising a finger to prevent countless cruelties that are so inhumane we struggle to comprehend them. The Holocaust happened on God's watch. Century after century of slavery happened on God's watch. Countless cases of torture, rape, and murder happened on God's watch. Endless cruelty and brutality has happened on God's watch. He is omniscient and omnipotent. He knew about it all and could have easily put an end to it, but he did nothing. He let innocent people be butchered and brutalized. He let people do inconceivably evil things to one another. But this sadistic creature didn't just tolerate the evil side of humanity. Let us not forget the evils of nature, which God not only tolerates, but presumably designed. The diseases and the parasites, all manner of horrible creatures and illnesses. Things which seem to exist exclusively to make the innocent suffer. Some people love to talk about God's humanitarian intervention. God intervened to help them. God intervened to save a sick relative. Where was their God and his humanitarian intervention during the Holocaust? Where was their God when the brutalized and the butchered needed their cries to be heard? Where was their God when people committed those actions that gave rise to words such as cruelty and brutality, depravity and inhumanity? And as for the concept of hell, by what right does this barbaric creature that they call the Maker look down on our immorality? This creature who threatens children with eternal torment, who expresses a sadistic desire to cause suffering that dwarfs the most monstrous of earthly criminals. That good righteous God who tortures people for all eternity. Does the word good have any meaning to these filthy liars? There is not a singular earthly evil that compares to his bloodthirsty love of cruel and depraved punishment. The Christian God as conceptualized by a great many Christians is a complete and utter monster, in more ways than one. He tolerates and permits all the cruelty and depravity in the world, and when he isn't tolerating earthly horrors, he is orchestrating far worse ones. Imagine a dictator who doesn't bother doing anything about the genocide and slavery that occurs under his rule, but demands that we pay him constant respect. Would this dictator not be the most evil creature? Would we not rightly hate him? This dictator is the Christian God. The theists will say, God works in mysterious ways. This isn't a very good explanation for why he tolerated the Holocaust. God sat back and tolerated every cruelty and depravity that has ever occurred. Is this somehow justified by the claim that he is mysterious? I think not. One wouldn't invent such excuses for a powerful leader who sat back while his people butchered and brutalized one another, when he could have so easily intervened and ended the bloodshed. We wouldn't defend the actions of such a barbaric, amoral leader on the grounds that he is just mysterious. Such defences are equally as unsatisfactory when used to defend the ultimate amoral dictator. The Christian God who loves nothing more than indulging in that which he condemns. Pride and wrath are evil, he proclaims. Fail to stroke his ego, and you will burn in hell for an eternity. Embodied in this creature is all the comical hypocrisy and grotesque immorality conceivable. The problem of evil has always been the ultimate indictment of the Christian God, but perhaps more importantly, it has also been the ultimate indictment of a great number of the Christians, those who worship this cruel, sadistic creature. Worship of the immoral is its own special kind of immorality, and worship of the immoral is what these Christians excel in. The God that they adore is the most depraved creature imaginable. To condemn people to eternal suffering is an act which makes every genocide in history look like child's play. Sadistic, inhumane, depraved, cruel, barbaric. These words are not severe enough to adequately describe the brutality of this monstrous creature that they call the Maker. These Christians have romanticized and glorified an evil being. The worship of such a blatantly depraved creature is rationally detestable. It undermines respect for sentience. It corrodes empathy and compassion. It normalizes cruelty and brutality. For one who can suffer to engage in such activities is deeply unwise, deeply irrational. The worship of this monster contradicts with a fundamental maxim that has often been associated with Christianity. The propagation of pity is in the interest of one who can suffer. To worship a deeply cruel God is to undermine pity. It is to act contrary to one's interest as a being who can suffer. It is irrationally detestable. Rational minds dream of a day when this idiocy will be relegated to the past.